College of Health Sciences and a graduate degree in public health, he is well equipped for the discussion. Driven by a passion for his field, he has received specialized training in infectious diseases control and environmental health. Having served in senior positions within both the public and private sectors, his extensive experience spans health service provision at various levels, including hospitals, regions, and the Kampala Capital City Authority, where he currently serves as the Director of Public Health and Environment. Dr. Okello Ayen Daniel will be on the panel as Spotlight UG delves into building resilient health systems, infrastructure challenges, and solutions on Monday, May 29, 2023 at 10 p.m. Join the conversation online via #SpotlightUG.
Good evening, Doctor. It's good to have you. How are you? And I hope you're ready for tonight.
Oh, yes, I am. And thank you, Timothy, for that very kind introduction. And good evening, viewers.
You're well. I'm excited about environment, climate change. So you're the person I'll be shooting those questions to tonight.
Especially that we're looking at, like you said, climate change. We're thinking about the future.
And tonight, thank you for keeping time. You were here at the same time as here, so I am really privileged to have spent some time with you.
Did we have a latecomers bell ringing?
Coffee on someone.
Okay. Okay.
Let's get our next panelist and be able to delve into this discussion.
Engineer Justus Akankwasa is a highly accomplished professional engineer. He brings a wealth of expertise and experience with close to 30 years in the field. Registered with Engineering Registration Board and a member of the Uganda Institute of Professional Engineers, Justus holds a bachelor's degree in civil engineering from Makerere University 1993 and a Master of Science degree in construction management from Loughborough University, UK 1997. His impressive career includes roles as pupil engineer and assistant university engineer at Makerere University, assistant commissioner of construction management at the Ministry of Education, and deputy director of buildings and drainage at KCCA. Currently, Justus serves as the director of engineering and technical services, showcasing his outstanding leadership skills and commitment to the industry. Engineer Justus Akankwasa will be on the panel as Spotlight delves into KCCA unlocking the Smart City Agenda on Monday, May 29th, 2023 at 10 p.m. on NBS TV. Join the conversation online by #SpotlightUG.
Good evening, engineer. It's good to have you. Quite a CV out there. Seems like the roads are going to tell us the exact happenings here. Good evening. Greet the viewers.
Good evening, viewers, and I'm glad to be here to share with you what we have in store for you in KCCA.
And we're grateful you're here. So since the pothole exhibition was just a few weeks ago, I hope you'll be explaining some of those. But exactly. Lastly...
but I also wanted to ask, engineer was getting a degree by 1993. Where were you? It's okay. You don't need to answer. Let's get to look at our next panelist.
Dorothy Chisaka is the executive director at Kampala Capital City Authority, KCCA, where she provides strategic leadership for Uganda's capital city. With an impressive background, she has held various key roles including Senior Governance Advisor to the Prime Minister of Uganda, Deputy Head of Prime Minister's Delivery Unit, and Administrator to the National Response Fund to COVID-19 and Commissioner at NRM Electoral Commission. Apart from her professional accomplishments, Dorothy is a family law specialist and a passionate advocate for placing abandoned children in nurturing families. She is the founder of Destiny Leadership School and shares her expertise as a visiting international faculty, mentoring leaders worldwide. Dorothy Chisaka also serves as the board chairman for Development Associates International and represents Africa on the board of trustees for Haggai International. Residing in Kampala, Uganda, she enjoys a fulfilling life with her husband and children. Dorothy Chisaka will be on the panel as Spotlight UG delves into building resilient health systems, infrastructure challenges and solutions on Monday, May 29th, 2023 at 10 p.m. on NBS TV. Join the conversation online via #SpotlightUG.
And of course, it's interesting. For me, the most important was the last bit of family, but also interesting to know about her love for children and ensuring that they're nurtured back into a family. A very good evening to you, Madame Dorothy, and say hello to our viewers, and thank you for coming through.
Thank you very much, Mildred and Timothy. What a joy to be at UBC and NBS at the same time.
That's what technology and the smart city can bring.
Good evening, viewers. Good evening, Kampala. Good evening, Muna Kampala. We look forward to a great conversation tonight.
Exactly. And of course, we can't wait to have this conversation started off. There is a lot of expectation from the people of Kampala. And for those of you who are joining us online, the hashtag is SpotlightUG. In case you have any question coming through, we will be able to have that answered at a later stage. We'll kick off at this particular time. My name is Mildred Tuhaise.
And I am Timothy Nyangweso.
And immediately, we start off with the executive director herself. 3 years down the road, it's no mean feat. There's been highs and lows. There is a Kampala that you inherited. There is a Kampala that is existent right now. Could you just take us down memory lane?
Wow. 3 years journey. Well, we came into Kampala in August 2020 in the thick of COVID. And we were down at a 20% staffing at that time. The roads were closed. There were very few people in the city. One of the distinct things I remember very well about the city at that time was that there was a stench that was going through the city because people were not there flushing toilets and everything. But we got in there and started working at a slow pace because how the city was going at that time. And one of the most significant things that we started with is that we found that on the books, the institution was going through a transition of laying off temporary staff. So we started with a very difficult decision of letting go of many of our temporary staff because the idea was that KCCA should have more people on permanent basis. And that took us through a season of turbulence of some kind. The added factor was that we didn't have also the directors in place. We've not had directors in place almost for the 2 years. We only got them in the recent February. Actually, this year is when we started getting all the directors set. So on the institutional side, we came in when the leadership, which was in politically, was going out. They were going to be re-elected in 2011. And we were coming in. So with the institution having some members of staff leaving, there was some level of turbulence. That is one. So 2020, 2021, COVID ends. And when COVID ends, the streets now are full of people. Full of people, not in a good way. It's people who had moved out of the marketplaces. People were looking for customers nearer the city. So all Luwum Street, Kampala Road, all these places of the city square, we found people everywhere. Actually, it was so difficult to find your way down to the park if you ever walked those sides. And we had an opportunity, therefore, to deal with this challenge. How do we get people off the streets, people who are hungry, people who are going through an economic turbulence of COVID, and get them off the street? But in the very challenge, we had an opportunity. We had an opportunity to create public awareness, to use our different division teams to educate the public about going back to the trading places that had been created by government, the marketplaces. And that worked so well that the streets became clear. Actually, I remember one person on a radio program saying, Kampala is so clear you can now even kick a football on Luwum Street. There is a tension for you as an administrator to chase somebody from a trading space, knowing that you have nowhere to send them, or that you're pushing them into a space that's already crowded. But we've had a reprise on this. The government has said the government is going to create 2 markets in every division, and we are already working towards that. So finding trading places, making sure people are off the streets but are going into good trading spaces has been one of the challenges we have faced. I won't talk about the potholes since I have the engineers here, but the road construction issue is a big one around KCCA, which we are facing, and I'll let Justice at the right time give us some more detail on that. But Mildred, if you allow me, I just want to paint a picture of Kampala, because sometimes people don't get a proper picture of Kampala.
We don't understand our city.
Yes. Our city has a huge governance structure, huge. At the center, we have the ministers, 2 ministers from central government, because KCCA runs the city on behalf of central government. So our supervisors are the Honorable Minister, Minsa Kabanda, and the State Minister, Honorable Chofa Togabye. That is aside. Then we come down to City Hall. City Hall, we have the Lord Mayor. And every division has its own mayor. So we have 5 mayors in the city. And then after that, we have the 10 MPs, because we have 9 constituencies, and then we have one lady who takes the whole of the Kampala. So we have 10 MPs. Then we have the resident city commissioner and the 5 deputies. So we have 6 RCCs. Then after that, we have councillors for every division. In total, we have 461 councillors around the city. That's not all. After that, we go to the parish level. We have 99 parishes, each with an administrative team of 6. Then we go down to the village, which are 858 villages. So when you add up all our governance structure, we are about 1,500 leaders in the city. That is, when you take it that the city has 1.5 million people, that is a great percentage. 10% of our people in the city
Are leaders.
So that's the governance structure. So the decision-making process, just think about that and the various things we have to do with that. On the other hand, our mandate as a city is huge. We have physical infrastructure development, we have education, we have health, we have physical planning, just physical planning. So we have revenue collection, we have law and order, to mention but a few. At KCC, and the technical side alone, we have over 1,500 staff. So there is an enormity of what we are managing as a team. It is an opportunity, but also creates an interesting challenge from time to time. And to transition through COVID, through laying off staff, through working, through not having a leadership team, to where we are now with a fully set in the leadership team, to where things are beginning to work better, that is really exciting for us.
Wow. It's an interesting one, and Timothy, at a later stage, now that we have Honorable Engineer, I will be talking about the cost of public administration. 10% of the people in Kampala are leaders.
And I want to pick it up from what Madam Chisaka has spoken about. 1,500 cooks, that is the technical team. In total, you're about 3,000. Let me come to you, Dr. Okello. Healthy city is what you're dubbing this strategic plan. You have already the public health strategic plan, 2021-2025, sanitation improvement, 2021-2025. We have 84 markets in this city. We have a city that is congested, 2 million people living in this city, staying and residing, but also 4 million people that come to work here. What is this health city you're talking about with all this population?
Okay, healthy city is it's a concept that comes from how do you use local solutions, how do you use local initiatives, with the aim of making a city, for no other word, livable. With the aim making a city that is something you can be able, depending on how you look at a city, may either be livable or it may actually be able to poison you. So what do you look at? Some of the things you've brought out, you're looking at how can I improve air quality? How can I be able to make sure that the little guy down there can be able to access quality service. You've given some numbers there, but one of the numbers I'll tell you, there are 1,900 health facilities in Kampala. Only about 25 are public. Now, when you're looking at delivery of services and you're saying that I should be healthy, one is that on our side as KCCA, we deliver services through 8 health centers. That leaves you another 1,800 and something. How do you do that? One, as you're saying, in a smart way, but in a healthy way. You're going to regulate to make sure that people can be able to get a service. You've touched about the issue of the markets. Now, in a market, as you say, there is food, but there is also the interface with the environment. So you want to make sure that the tomato you're buying is more or less clean for you to be able to take home. So what are you doing to make sure that that food is safe for people to be able to take? When you take it further about the other issue of environmental management, we're encouraging people to be green. So you want you to be green, we want you to take care of your air, we want you to eat healthy, but on top of that, and this I'll link it up with other as they look at determinants of health. So when my colleague, the engineer, is actually doing the roads, I'm telling him, I want jogging lanes. So when Timothy or Mildred go and see their doctor and they say, hey, you need to do some jogging, you actually have somewhere to be able to jog. So as part of whatever infrastructure you're putting there, you're making it healthy. When we are giving you street lights, we're actually saying that as you walk on these streets, you know the cost that in case someone, let's say somebody stabbed you, the amount of money you'd spend trying to take care of that wound because you're in a dark place. Or when there is light, that means I'm preventing some of these acts from taking place. So you're incorporating health into most of the initiatives that are there. Now all that, as you say, incorporating the initiatives of health, looking at local solutions, but also trying to spend that dollar, whatever it is, to make, for no other word, a city not poison you.
Thank you, Doctor. Just to follow up that, 2,000 tons of garbage. Chitezi is a place you don't want to pass by because of the stench that is there. The garbage from those markets, the garbage from our homes, which is composite, which is plastic, which is polythene, all this garbage is out there. Really, is this healthy city achievable in this smart agenda?
Timothy, you know there is something interesting. You know plastics don't litter. Rubbish doesn't litter. Who litters?
It goes back to us.
It's actually us. So most people, when they are pointing the fingers, one finger should be pointing at you. And it's about us. Are we actually capable of doing it? Let me give you a practical example. Right now, it's slightly past 10 p.m. You know how many people are buying Rolex now? And they're unwrapping it with what?
With the polythene.
With the polythene. And they're going to leave it right there. But there are options, because at that point you're unwrapping, you actually have a decision point to say, I probably don't want a polythene. Can I be able to use paper? So when you look at this and you're saying, what do we generate or what do I generate? The decision point is with us. I have, as KCCA, we have bought the trucks. This year we bought 10 new trucks, so 14 tons each. We are buying another 10. We are improving on our fleet slowly by slowly. Now, that is what we are going to push as KCCA. Now, where we are supposed to midpoint is where, as me, at those decision points, what are you going to do? Do you really need a plastic bottle, or can you be able to reuse a container that is there? Now, with that, the Kitezi will be able to last longer. We'll be able to spend much less of the taxpayers' money, because then you're caring about us not spending your money because of your bad habits. So to me, it's actually possible. It starts with us and will actually end with us.
All right, thank you very much, Doctor. I'll definitely be getting back to you on our capacity to be able to get all this solid waste, but also, on the other hand, my biggest issue has always been solid waste management in terms of segregation. Putting polythene together with glass, together with biodegradable waste is something, that's a discussion we'll be delving into. Let me come to Engineer Justus. I don't know whether it was by design that the two engineers decided to sit next to each other, but it is okay, they could be sharing notes. there. Engineer Justice, a few months back, I do remember, I think the most quotable statement from the executive director was that Kampala was going to become a construction site because we were going to be working on our roads. I want to start from an overview because we just recently had the pothole exhibition with all its pros and cons, but where are we? Looking at the road infrastructure in the city and also knowing that our biggest challenge is maintenance, not just even construction of new roads, but the maintenance. Do we have a budget? Do we maintain our roads? Or are we dealing with what should have been dealt with in terms of maintenance and having to construct again?
Thank you, Mildred. Maybe to put it in perspective, the city road network is to the tune of 2,110 kilometers. And of that, 31% is paved. Now, that totals to around 654 kilometers. But of that, which is paved, nearly half is dilapidated. In other words, it has lived its design life. When we design roads, you design it with a life. And most of the time, we have a design of 15 years, 20 years, 10 years. So if you designed a road 20 years ago, now it's due for overhaul. So a big portion of our city infrastructure it has outlived its design life. And so that's why you see it now takes a lot of money to maintain it. I think pothole patching has been there for a long time. We've been patching every year. And URF has been giving us on average 24 billion per year. But the demand is more than the funds because the network is dilapidated. But I want to assure the citizens of Kampala that there is a plan. There is a plan, and we've already started. And we started long ago, as you are aware, Mildred and the rest of the people of Kampala. We've just completed KIDIP 2, funded by the World Bank, and we did 51 kilometers of roads. And that's where you see John Babiha. I think you remember, Acacia used to be potholed, but now it is fully done. We did the Nakawantinda Road, which was also in bad shape. It's done. And we upgraded some roads which were gravel. I think you know Kurambiro Ring Road. It is part of what we've just started, finished. The Kabusubunamwaya, which is roughly 8 kilometers. It was fixed. And that road, some people are complaining about a section which is not clean. There is a 7-kilometer stretch which is in Makinge Sabagabo. We did that road because when we are planning, we want to evacuate traffic to move quickly. That's why we continued even with that road into another planning unit. So all those roads have been done, and many of these roads you see signalized junctions and street lighting and walkways. As my brother Daniel said, walkways to make a city healthy. People need to walk safely. So that has been done. But now currently Mildred and the citizens of Kampala, we are now implementing the ADB, which the project we call the Kampala City Roads Rehabilitation Project. And we are targeting to cover 69 kilometers. And the work has started. You could see Old Port Bell Road. If you visit there tomorrow, you will see work being done. And we are going to fix 6th Street, 7th Street, 8th Street. I think there are many pictures that have been taken on 7th Street.
Those are the worst roads.
Yes. Those ones are under this program. We are going to completely rehabilitate those roads and many other to the tune of Saparo-Kagwa Road. Okay, we have the old Mubende Road. And so it's to the tune of 51 kilometers. And that's why the ED was telling you that the Kampala is going to be a construction site. So you expect a lot of work to be done. But in the medium term, 1 year, 2 years, we still have many more projects in the pipeline. We have the Greater Kampala Metropolitan Area program funded by the World Bank, and Kampala has a portion of that program to the tune of 75 kilometers, and with more discussion, those kilometers will even increase. And there is also another program. Actually, today I was in the Ministry of Works discussing with the Development Committee. They have approved it right now to go to feasibility study level. And this is the Chorus project. Chorus project is going to handle 270 kilometers of rehabilitating the old network.
Okay.
So once that is done, I think Kampala will be a vibrant city, and you will not be having an exhibition of potholes. You will instead exhibit a very clean and vibrant.
I hope
network.
so. But engineer, you talked about 24 billion from Uganda Road Fund for rehabilitation. Currently, as Kampala is talking about a greater network of our roads being past their lifespan, basically, to put it clearly, how much does the capital city require for maintenance? Because that's just maintenance without constructing other roads.
Yes.
Because I also clearly remember 2018, I think, when the transport master plan came through, because while we're talking about roads, we're talking about the transportation system, because
Yes.
that feeds into. But also about 10 years ago, we had the physical development plan. How far were these plans? How have they been incorporated in the city as is right now? And also looking at how much you need. You have a member of parliament who deals with appropriation. You're getting 24 billion. What proportion of that is the bigger picture of how much money is needed for rehabilitation?
Thank you for that question, Mildred. The need as of now, because of the poor network, we need 100 billion. 100 billion to maintain per year, to maintain as is. But I want to show you that once rehabilitation program moves on as planned, that money reduces.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you will have now fixed most of the overgrown or overaged network. So currently we need 100 billion
Okay.
to keep up with the pace.
How are the master plans dealing with the physical plan, the transport master plan? Are we implementing those?
We have 3 big master plans in the infrastructure area. We have the multimodal, Greater Kampala Multimodal Transport Master Plan, which looks at different modes of transport. In there, we have big projects like the light rail and the bus rapid transport. All those are enshrined in that big document. But of course, we need funding. Then there is the Kampala Drainage Master Plan, which looks at the entire area. You talked of 7 Hills. The network of Kampala drainage, we have 78 kilometers of primary drains. Primary drainage channels are like Nachivubo, that size. We have 78 kilometers. And for secondary drains, those tributaries which feed into the primary channels, we have 134 kilometers. So it's a big network. We've currently handled Nakamiro and Rubiji. Nakamiro now is a secondary drain, and Rubiji is a primary drain. We have done that under the World Bank funding, and you can see now Bwaise, which used to be talked of a swimming area or whatever, you know the story of Bwaise. Now I think the people in Bwaise are very comfortable. So the drainage master plan is there. It's costed at $200 million. $200 million. But we are doing piecemeal of that. But if money could come in rapidly, then we would fix that. So there is that plan. But lastly, we have the Kampala street lighting master plan. Currently, the entire Kampala is lit at 8%. So we need more lights to be safe, and we are looking at 40,000 lights to fix all over the network. And we are currently, of course, implementing this for all these roads we are doing. We ensure that there is street lighting and it is safe to drive and to walk on.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Engineer.
Timothy, if you
Yes.
could just allow me. So, in essence, the plans for all these things are there.
But
The distance between the planning
and the
and the
implementation.
resources, the wanting to do things, the planning to do things is being done. Like what happens in which area of Kampala, what kind of building should be in Kololo, all these things have been thought through by our predecessors. The plans are on the books, but there is a gap between planning and the resource. That's all I wanted to say.
And I'm glad you said that. We'll come to the resource later. Engineer Justice has given us the roses. Honorable Barimwezo, let me come to the thorns of these roses. A road seems to cost very highly in this country. When we look at Akasha Avenue that he spoke about, 9.7 kilometers, 90 billion. When we look at Kulambiro Ring Road, Nigeria, 9.7 kilometers, 90 billion. Why is this cost very high to be able to make a road, maintain it? Break down that cost for us, and what are the alternatives?
Thank you. For starters, if we are to have a smart, clean, and functional city, we need to do a lot of planning. We need a lot of planning. When I was elected chairperson for the City Roads Committee, what we began with was planning. If we are to deal with NF road infrastructure, a plan is very critical. Secondly, we also need to know that Kampala, capital city, is the capital of Uganda. It is the hub, economic hub for the country, the face of Uganda, and therefore it needs great attention. We as members of parliament have a role to play in this. Our role, the first role is representation. The second role is that of oversight. The third one is that of appropriation. And perhaps the fourth critical one is making of laws. We as a parliament, we came out with great and very important laws which are supposed basically to take us to a clean, smart city, functional city. One of them is this law, the Uganda Roads Fund Act of 2008, that created the road fund for purposes of routine and periodic maintenance of our roads. You cannot make roads and fail to have a clear plan for their maintenance. The maintenance is very, very critical. We collect over 1.12 trillion But government have failed to operationalize this law. All the money that is meant for the maintenance of roads in Uganda, like it is in Kenya, like it is in Tanzania, like it is in Rwanda, is being used elsewhere and not on our roads. Therefore, unless government realizes that we need to work on our roads in the country and operationalize this law, we may end up losing a point. The other law.
Honorable Balimwezo, if you could just hold a little bit, sorry for interrupting you. Government does not pick money without appropriation from Parliament, and that is where I would ask, why is money meant for roads then utilized for something else? How does that happen in a country?
We have very good laws in the shelves. I've told you that this law is ring-fenced. It's a second-generation fund that was created and ring-fenced for only road infrastructure maintenance. But government is not committing that money. It collects the money and fails to put it to its use. And that's the reason that we have the most dilapidated roads. Like I told you before, we have 2,110 kilometers of road network. But only, and I mean only, 30% is paved. Of the 30% that is paved, 70% has outlived the design life. These are roads in 30, 40 years. We cannot make miracles unless Parliament realizes that we need the face of Uganda look like the face of Uganda, look like a sitting room. That's the reason that when we constituted a committee that is charged to maintain roads, we made it a point to begin with analyzing our road network. I requested this team to present an inventory of the roads. You cannot work on the roads without an inventory.
Okay.
KCCA lacks an inventory of the roads. We need to know the length, the width, the name of the road, the traffic volumes, the furniture, and so on and so forth, so that we can begin. You know, we have the history of those roads, and we can pick out which road basically needs to be worked on. Because when we are designing roads, we begin with the traffic. How much traffic? Economic factors. We have to look into the economic factors. Therefore, it's quite important. You asked a question about the cost of roads. Recently, the Lord Mayor raised that issue. But a road, we have different types of roads. You can have a road of 1 billion a kilometer. You can have a road of 10 billion a kilometer. Is it dual carriageway? What kind of pavement is it? We have different types of pavements. We have the rigid pavements, we have the flexible pavements, and we have the maram roads, gravel roads. We have the earth roads. In Kampala, the city, the capital city, we still have earth roads, roads that have never received maram at all. And basically, we still have such roads in the city. Therefore, a road will always depend on scope. The scope. What is the scope? What is the type of pavement? What are the layers beneath? A road has a foundation. A road has a subgrade. A road has a sub-base. A road has a wearing course. What is the thickness of the wearing course? One will have a wearing course of 50 millimeters. Another one will have 100 millimeters. And that of 150 plus. So the cost will always depend on that. Always analyze the scope. A road will have furniture. Others will not have furniture. A road may have walkway. Others may not have a walkway. A road may have underground drainage facilities. Others may not have, may have open drainage. So roads will, the cost of a road will always depend on the scope, the specifications they are in. Therefore, someone cannot just all of a sudden come out and say this road is costly when they don't know the specifications, when they don't know the scope of work that is going to be executed. You get the point? So roads will always depend on the scope.
Honorable, do you agree to all the amounts of monies that are placed on our roads? Because we've received political leadership talking about inflation of costs in some of these procurements.
Yes. In Uganda, unfortunately, we have big challenges. That land, according to the constitution of Uganda, is owned by the people of Uganda.
Yes.
And therefore, if you're going to do any road, you have to do compensation. So compensation costs escalate the cost of roads. Secondly, some of our roads basically traverse, all are traced through wetlands. A road in a wetland is not the same cost with a road on good ground, ground with good load bearing capacity. You see, so roads will always depend on the conditions of that area. But I will not say that the costs that KCCA does, we have some cartels, some cartels in institutions, not only KCCA, but even other institutions where people, basically particular planners, put high the cost in papers, and it's at times not easy to get, to find out. But good enough, the Lord Mayor raised that issue, and we are carrying out an investigation, a serious one. So far, the Road Mayor presented, and we are waiting for the ED and the team to come and present to Parliament, the Physical Infrastructure Committee, so that we can conclude that investigation.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Honorable. Yes, Engineer Justice.
Yes. Timothy, I want to thank you for bringing the issue of unit cost. It has been on for a long time. And I want to assure the public that what we have procured in the KCCA is value for money. Designs for roads in Uganda are based on the design manuals and standards that have been set by the Ministry of Works and Transport. And we have different classes. We have urban roads who are in the class 1. We have those upcountry roads. They are different classes. I want you to, definitely, everyone can see the differences. If you pick a road, Guru Road, let's for example, Guru Road, are there street lights? Do we have street lights on Acacia? Yes. Are they there? No. We have walkways on all our roads. Are they on Guru Road? No. Are they on Acacia? Yes. We have underground drainage where you have these culverts laid underground to take water. Are they there on Guru Road? No. Are they there on Acacia? Yes. We have traffic signals in the city. Do you see them on Guru Road? No. Do we see them on Acacia? This is an analogy. And you see, like for example now, Acacia is dual carriageway. We have this Nakawantinda, it is dual carriageway. So for us
can you explain dual carriageway?
Dual carriageway, 2 lanes are taking vehicles, traffic in one direction, and 2 lanes are taking in the opposite direction. That's the dual carriageway. So the unit cost is very competitive. It's very competitive. And I was shocked that unit cost, someone got the wrong amount and divided by the kilometers that we want to cover. But you see, the wrong amount is not all for infrastructure. We should have picked, and we have made an analysis which we are going to pass on to the infrastructure. Per road, let me tell you, the average that we have now got is 6.5
billion
per kilometer. Yes, 6.5. It's not 14. And as he
be ready to explain all
and
that.
as he rightly said, every road has different design.
All right,
Okay.
but engineer, if I could just borrow,
Different roads have different designs.
let me borrow 4 letters from your name, Justus. Could you justify that 6.5 per kilometer of road in the city? Putting in context all the discussions that you brought, because that is what is always flagged. Uganda land tenure system, wetlands and all this. Is it justifiable, or is it something that KCCA is looking at to delve deeper into the so-called cartels that have been talked about severally?
Yes, Mildred. By the way, there is a national study on unit costs. And a draft report, which I have just read, a unit cost of road minus those other things I have told you is coming to 4.5 billion.
Of what,
Minus drainage,
of what thickness?
Minus...
Of what thickness? Can you give us the thickness?
Okay.
You cannot say-
Of a class 2.
Class what? Okay.
Class 2. They, minus this drainage, street lighting, walkways, signals. So, Mildred, it's justified. It's justified.
We'll wait for that explanation on the floor of Parliament, definitely.
Yeah.
I wanted to come to you, Madam
Okay.
Dorothy. One of the things that you really mentioned is the desire. There's the will, but there's also the politics there. When you look at the governance structure, when you look at the governance, you have 2 ministers that are there. You have mayors, you have RCCs, you have all these, including DPCs. How are you with the willingness to be able to give us a healthy city, an infrastructure that is fundamental in this country, but also an enabling business in all our divisions with all these political landmines that you have around you? You're willing, but there's all this decision making from the parish all the way to where you sit as a technical wing.
That's a very interesting question, Timothy. I think we as administrators have got to know that this is the environment we work in. We signed on to democracy. Therefore, that means political parties, that means people who don't necessarily work with you. I always say that let's differ in our parties, in our colors that we wear, in our ideologies, but let's agree that let's deliver a smart city for Kampala. If we can agree on that one thing, all of us, we can walk towards it. But if we are walking towards it and other people are interrupting all the time, we can never deliver on the smart city for the people of Kampala. And it's not even for the people of Kampala, it's for the people of Uganda. So we need to manage the politics. We have a vision statement that guides us, a vibrant, attractive, sustainable city. We have a mission statement delivering quality services to the people of Kampala. We have a strategic plan with 5 clear pillars: city economic growth, productivity, institutional frameworks, governance oversight, all these things that talk about what we've now encapsulated as a smart city agenda. We have all the documents, we have all the words, but let's agree that we can deliver. If the budget says we have 3, okay, let's say we have 20, in fact, let me talk about this. With the roads, for instance, let's just talk about the roads. There are 3 ways in which we do roads in the city. One, we do maintenance of the roads, and that money comes from Uganda Road Fund. Right now, we are receiving about 24 billion a year, and that means only 6 billion comes per quarter. And this particular financial year, it was delayed until April when the money came in. So there is a problem there. So if you know that the money has delayed, but at the same time you're telling ED and the engineers do the roads, how will they do it? If we are pulling together, we shall all do the lobbying for the money. It is our thing to deliver these roads to the people of Kampala. So there is maintenance. Then there's sectional repairs. Sectional repairs are done by our contractors, our city contractors. And sometimes they do it on credit. These are our business people. These are our people. And if their money is not paid, they cannot continue getting loans from the bank. So we, as a technical team, as a political team, as the leaders of Kampala, let's ensure that this money comes in and we pay our contractors. That's the second way we do roads, sectional repairs, where there are so many potholes that you can no longer cover the pothole, you have to just scrape the whole thing. Then finally, we do the overhauling with the various projects that are coming in. I think there is one point that both Honorable Balimwezo and Justus have not yet hit on, and that is the fact that there is international bidding in these things. I always say, KCCA staff, executive director, deputy executive director, engineers, do not lock themselves in the room and they say the cost of this road will be 6 billion. This is international bidding. The funding bank is part of it. Parliament itself is part of it. The whole bureaucracy of government is aware about what's going on. It is nothing we do in secret. So, to answer your question, and I hope I'm answering it.
Let me chip in there.
Okay.
Believe me, there is a political-technical relationship gap. And that's the reason that the Lord Mayor came out to say that the prices are high. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made such a statement where he is the head of strategy.
Are you condoning washing dirty linen in the public? Because I would expect that the technical and political wing are working
There is. And there has always been that kind of gap in their relationship. This act is of 2008. Other districts are implementing this act. But in Kampala, it is just of recent that we constituted this committee. Therefore, we need to work on the relationship of the political and technical officers. I want to say thank you to the executive director and the Lord Mayor. This time, we sat down on the same table and agreed on pushing the development agenda.
Absolutely.
That is a good start. But there was a gap. And that's the reason that the Lord Mayor was coming out to say, you see, that is it.
All right.
And really the City Roads Committee, which Honorable Mwezo is chairman, and which has our town clerks, it has our mayors, it has all the members of parliament, it has the engineers, the division engineers, is a big win for Kampala. Because now the money is going to come in, that whole team will know what the money has done, and they'll prioritize which roads are going to be done.
All right, well, the conversation's getting heated, definitely. I would like Doctor to come in through as well, because while we're talking about politics, we could be dying of some health-related problems because of the kind of city that we're living in. Yep. But that and much more, myself and Timothy will be returning shortly after this break.
So could you come and see that?
Jerry, card! Hey, Master Blaster! Touch him, man! Bang Jerry can with muscle! Those ones who say go for you only. Mundava! Best movies I teach you. When I go to which the squad, because of the cover is very far. Is you serious? It's serious, you. What? Yeah? You stay put on it. Add kilometers to your legs, and you get your sugar. We buy meat from Umaru, and Umaru refused to give you enough meat. Show him that they don't joke with you. Umaru,
okukakaluka n'okulungi kwetaagako omuntu akuyambako n'olwekyo tujja kukuteerawo embeera esaanidde osobole okukola ekisinga awamu teri kitulema.
The Ministry of Health will conduct yellow fever preventive mass vaccination campaign for all persons aged 9 months up to 60 years. These people should have never been vaccinated against yellow fever. The yellow fever campaign will be conducted in phases, with the first phase covering districts in the regions of Arua, Gulu, Lira, Kabare, Kabarore, and Hoima. The campaign will begin on the 9th of June and end on the 13th of June 2023 and will be conducted in all government health facilities and outreach posts. All parents and caregivers are requested requested to take their children aged 9 months to the nearest health facility and outreach posts to get vaccinated against yellow fever disease. All adults aged up to 60 years but have never been vaccinated should go to health facilities and vaccination outreach posts to get vaccinated against yellow fever. Ministry of Health calls upon everybody to report any person who presents with signs and symptoms such as yellowing of eyes, fever, headache, muscle pain, feeling of vomiting or nausea, vomiting, and general body weakness or fatigue to the nearest health facility or health worker immediately for medical attention. This could be yellow fever. Yellow fever vaccine is a single dose given once in a lifetime. The yellow fever vaccine is safe, effective, and free. This message is brought to you by the Ministry of Health with support from Gavi and partners.
This is the University of Africa. On the streets, you get your real education. Here, everybody has a degree of something. But the most important qualification is imagination. Her reason to imagine is slay. His reason is to be the GOAT. Theirs is to take the beat and make it lit. They want to test edgy till it is fire. Their reason for imagination is to add riz in style. Her reason to imagine is finesse. And hers is to find what's new and bussin'. So no matter what your situation, just use your imagination.
This isn't just a girl. She is the future. This is a teacher, a doctor, a community leader, our future president.
She is our family's pride, and as her father, I will protect her from child marriage and talk to her about the dangers of teenage pregnancy. We each have a role to play in empowering our teenage girls to protect them from child marriage and pregnancy, because when we empower them, we empower our nation. Protect the girl, save the nation.
Take action. Report any case of defilement or child marriage to the police or call Sawuti 116.
Iwakato, this is a quick call. I'm almost out of minutes. Now, the center.
Why rush through such important conversations? Airtel Uganda has made it possible for you to call across all networks in Uganda at the best rates with the new Bona voice bundles. Stay connected anytime, anywhere, with minutes valid for calls on all networks. Dial *100*1#. Select voice bundles and select Bona voice bundles today.
Airtel, a reason to imagine.
For 10 years, the Uganda Film Festival has been shining a light on Ugandan cinema. This year, we're celebrating a decade of excellence in filmmaking, innovation, and storytelling. Get ready for a week of physical and online workshops, masterclasses, and film clinics with some of the most experienced film experts in the business. Experience the magic of cinema with a diverse lineup of films from Uganda, Africa, and beyond. The festival runs from the 22nd of May to the 2nd of June 2023 and culminates with the Awards Gala, a glittering event that recognizes and honors the best in Ugandan cinema.
With freedom. Get MTN Freedom voice bundles that don't expire. Dial *100*21# or my MTN app for more bundles. Together, we're unstoppable.
The Magical Egypt Tour 2023 is here. A heavenly miracle waiting across the natural and divine attractions of Egypt, such as Cairo, Giza Pyramids, Saqqara, Memphis, and many more that will offer the gift of a lifetime. The chance to unlock all of the hidden powers of mind and soul, gain the enlightenment of the past and the future, and develop the power of healing. Departure will be Friday 16th up to 23rd June 2023. Basic package starting at $1,200, 8 days and 7 nights. To register, come to Gotove Tours and Travel at Nalkwego Complex Suta, UG's Extender, George Street, Nakasero, or call +256 758 530 059 or +256 784 568 392 or WhatsApp +256 782 556 078. Only few slots are left. Powered by UBC Television.
Did you know that you can safely and conveniently make your school fees payments anytime, any school, anywhere using Airtel Money? Oh yes! Simply pick up your phone and dial *185#. Select option 6, school fees. Choose between school pay, peg pay, or shore pay. Enter student number. Enter amount, confirm name and transaction. Enter Airtel Money PIN. A confirmation message will be sent to you upon a successful transaction. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Spotlight you.
Of late, you see diseases that you're not even sure about or what's happening there. But also, when we look at this congested city, 4 million people in this city. Yesterday, I was with a group of people that were coming for the 3rd June Matters Day, and one was wowing at that city, but they said they're not going back. So this population, what are you doing to decongest it? What are you doing to keep the air quality in this city permeable so that all of us are not getting health hazards?
Okay. Thank you, Timothy, for that. You've raised one of the causes of air pollution. There are others. One is burning of rubbish. And if you look at, and I'll come to that later, we have had studies whereby at a particular time, air quality gets worse, and this is during the night. And I'll tell you the reasons for that. The other is what we have just been talking about. Those are the roads. When your roads are unpaved, because dust can also cause bad air quality. So you've asked, what have we done to that? One is that you need to know your problem. And the uniqueness with air quality is you can't smell whether the quality is bad because it will be too late. You can't see with your eyes and say, this is bad. If I put on a white shirt, you will see a speck of black. With air quality, by the time you're seeing that, it is too late. But you'll probably see it only at some point. So to know our problem, we have installed what we call air quality meters. Okay. As KCCA, we have 25. But with other partners, they are close to 100. So at each point in time, we can know how bad or good the air quality is. But we are taking it a step further. Knowing that the air quality is good or bad is not enough, we have partnered with our partners, and one of them is Expertise France. And now we are trying to find out what are those things that are making our air quality bad. In the scientific language, they'll call it source apportionment. So what is it that is contributing the most to our air quality being poor? So the studies are ongoing now, and in a few months we'll get to know now. Once we get to know that, it is easy to then tackle a particular problem. If it is due to the cars, and the cars are a little bit ahead, the modern cars have what we call the catalytic converters, but we are having a problem in Kampala. You've heard of what they call the Kisani. Maybe you haven't yet gotten there, but what people are doing now, when you go and park your car somewhere, the catalytic converter tends to be stolen. And because of the value of the metals that are there. Now that catalytic converter, you know, from the engine, the stroke of the engine, it's supposed to clean the exhaust fumes before they come out, such that they are clean enough and they don't pollute the air. That piece of equipment, and they will tell you in a vehicle, when you're breaking down a vehicle, it's one of the most expensive pieces of equipment. Now people have started stealing it, and in the local term, it's what they call the kisani in a car. And I know people have gotten that, and we are telling people outside there, please don't steal this kisani, because it is the one that is keeping your air clean. So looking at where we are going and how we tend to make people be able to live in this clean environment, the first that I will say I will not forget is by tarmacking our roads. We are not only making the roads motorable, we are not only trying to improve on your time, but we are also indirectly making sure that your air is clean. The other that we are doing is improving on solid waste management. Don't burn your rubbish. keep it, let's come and collect it. And as I say, there are about 500 or 600,000 households in this city. If half of them were burning their rubbish every day, imagine the amount of pollution going outside there. But as I say, this is a decision point where you say, I'm not going to burn my rubbish, I'm going to keep it, and then it can be uncollected. So by improving solid waste management is where we are educating people, is where we're improving our fleet, and we also encourage people to be able to reduce and recycle. So looking at that, and looking at some of the interventions, that is what we are doing to make sure that both the residents and that transient population can be safe in this city.
Dr. Kello, maybe, if I could just indulge.
Can I chip in?
Yes, please.
In Kampala, we are trying to improve the quality of garbage. The quality of garbage. Garbage is garbage not until it has no other use.
Mm-hmm.
We have people selling out garbage.
Sure.
Therefore, we want to sensitize our people on sorting garbage so that the pills, for example, can be procured. The plastics can be recycled. So by improving the quality of garbage, it will help us a big deal in managing garbage. But like I did tell you before, Kampala contributes over 50% to the national GDP. But how much do we put back in order to do prevention? As you are aware that prevention is better than cure.
That's true.
Therefore, we need to address that from Parliament, where we do appropriation. And I'm ready to stand on the floor of Parliament and make sure that I lobby for KCCA. He has talked about collecting garbage from the people. But how many trucks do you have? How many trucks do we have? And why? Because we have not done enough for our city, the economic hub for this country and the face of Uganda. Therefore, I call upon members of Parliament to make sure that we revisit our appropriation and at least give KCCA enough funds for its operations.
Or probably give them the power to spend at source. Maybe that's a conversation.
Then also the other thing is the late releases. You cannot send money. For example, the roads are up to third quarter. They had only received 30%. Third quarter. And how are they able to utilize all the other funds in the last quarter? You know the procurement bureaucracy. So you find it that it is hard. And therefore we call upon the Minister of Finance, who is the President of Uganda, to make sure that they release money as fast as possible. The President recently told us that he has given us 6 billion, but the 6 billion was that we appropriated. He did not give us money, actually. People think that the President, these guys may not speak about that, but me as a politician, I have to tell the public that actually President Museveni did not give us 6 billion. He only released 5.9 billion,
which he had appropriated.
Which was appropriated.
I love that you're speaking about it now, but at least, yes, we know that the money can be able to come, and each district has about 1 billion shillings for roads for the coming financial year. But Dr. Okello, I want to still come back to you, because I love to use the statement that we can't live without the environment, but the environment can live without us. And looking at between the years 1994 to 2021 thereabout, Uganda entirely, Kampala inclusive, we had about 15.6% of wetlands. That was in 1994. By 2021, we have about 8.9%. And if that trend continues, probably by 2040, we will not have any wetland. These are places that can be used as a sieve for our water, but also as catchment areas. How is Kampala performing? And especially in the case where we get to see people having titles in wetlands, we ask where the synergies between Ministry of Lands and KCCA.
Okay, first question, where are we as Kampala? I can't say we are where we want to be, because as you said that there are a few things that happen in the wetlands that ideally should not be happening. And there is, I tell people the issue is not the wetland. It's not someone owning the wetland. It is how you use it. And here we have to be very clear, because even the law prescribes what should be done in a wetland.
But we can't also own a wetland, we know clearly.
So no, the law actually says there's some people who can be able to have titles in wetlands. Then you can determine what kind of activity. So the law talks about permitted activities in wetlands. So you may have your title, but I'll permit what you can be able to do.
Okay.
Then there are pieces of land that are the preserve of government that you cannot be able to do anything in them. But when you look at the shores of Lake Victoria, especially the northern shores of Lake Victoria, there is a space between what you'd call the hard part of the land. That's the marsh. So the whole northern shore of Lake Victoria is like that, where they have marshes. So what does that? And when you come to Kampala, the other thing we have are the hills. You've been talking of the 7 hills. Now those areas below the hills and those marshes were meant in a way that when the water flows, it's actually supposed to filter it before it goes back to the lake. We have a freshwater lake. I think it's among the biggest in the world. And all this comes out of now, whatever we will do will be by our activity. Now here is where they will tell you that the issue of life and livelihoods. So there is the argument of we need livelihoods. We need to be able to put something in the wetland. There is the argument of life. But in most cases, there is a balance that we can be able to have in between. But this needs continuous education and telling people. And by you're going to annoy people, and it's okay because you have annoyed some people. And maybe what you see there, and what comes out is that the people who were annoyed don't come out, and you may think we're actually doing nothing. But you have personally annoyed so many people, and that is why you'll find that part of what we still having as Kampala, we are trying to guard extremely, extremely jealously, because the pressure of livelihoods. And if I'll take you back to COVID, remember the initial, when as part of livelihoods, the argument was, why are you allowing the truckers to come in? These truck drivers are bringing COVID. But there was the aspect that we're a landlocked country. Without them coming in, how are we going to survive? So the issue was, let them come in under certain conditions. So there are certain areas in Kampala where we are saying, irrespective of who you are, and because it's a wetland, we are not going to allow any developments to be able to occur in there. And that is a struggle continuously we are having. Yes, the integrated approach. But the winners here is us policing each other. And this is the community of saying, what is that person doing in the wetland? We are not going to allow people to be able to build in wetlands. So we need to have this community ownership of saying this is actually our livelihoods, as you said from the beginning. The environment can live without us. And the only way for us to live with that is to have the community ownership that it's part and parcel of what we are.
Thank you very much, Doctor.
Can I chip in there?
Yes, Honorable.
Yeah, we have a very big problem. In fact, today, I think I want to appreciate the Attorney General, who has written to the Ministry of Lands, directing the ministry to cancel all those titles that were received after 1998. I've seen a letter, and it's very good. You cannot imagine the wetland between Bukasa and Ruzira was all given out to land mafias. You can see one Katari, you can see Lala apartments, you can see Mera investments, and these have now demarcated that wetland into plots. So it's a shame, but fortunately, it has been cancelled. The World Bank report of 2008 revealed that whenever it rains in Kampala, we lose over $100 million in a year. So we have been losing a lot of money. We have lost infrastructure because roads don't tally well with water.
Yeah.
But in most times, when it rains, our roads are submerged in water. And the chemistry of the road changes automatically. Because when we are designing roads, we design roads with a moisture content. Therefore, we need to open all the gateways. For starters, and this is what I'm calling for, before even we go into implementation. We must open the gateways to Lake Victoria so that water can freely run into the swamp, get filtered to the lake. Today, as I speak, our Lake Victoria is polluted with heavy metals, with fecal matter, and it has maggots. It has maggots. To an extent of even some countries denying to import our fish because they have heavy metals in them. So we have to come out as a country and address this serious issue holistically. Otherwise, we are losing a point.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Madam Saka, let me come to you. Even looking just at Kampala and trying to make it a smart city with this agenda, we're now interconnected. Wakiso, Mukono, you just find someone crossing from Wakiso to take a child to a school that is X in a certain area, causing the congestion. What are you doing about this connectivity within those areas and the political heads there? But also, something that Dr. Okello said, how do we get buy-in from the public? How do you bring us on board? Because this seems like you are there and we're here. How do you bring us to be on board so that we partner together, both as Ugandans, because this country can outlive us?
Absolutely. The country is going to outlive us. And I really like the point that Honorable Mwezo is making. Let's open the gateways to Lake Victoria. This is something that we all need to work together. It is not KCCA, it is KCCA, it is NEMA, it is lands, it is parliament, it's the politicians, it is the Muna Kampala, ordinary Muna Kampala. We all have to do it together. Now, to go back to what you are saying, how do we create a buy-in? I'll tell you, Timothy, the phraseology, we are building a smart city together, is a rallying call for the citizens. It's a rallying call. It's an awareness phrase that smart city is part of my creation. I've seen a statement even today saying, stop talking about a smart city because this is not a smart city. Yes, maybe it is not today. But we are people of faith. We are saying, even when you don't have a house, you start thinking like the house is there. And we have to create that sensitization amongst us as adults, but more so in our children, in the school. KCCA has 79 schools. We are saying all our children, our schools hold about 28,000 children in the city alone. If we create this awareness of a smart city agenda from childhood, littering will stop because they know this is not part of our smart city campaign. Things like building in a wetland, even a child can tell, and an adult, but that's not allowed. So public awareness is not a technical team work. It is a political people, it's a Muna Kampala work. What Dr. Kero was talking about, chapati in a kavera, and you throw it right there, all this littering, all the things that are happening in the various communities, we have to work together. Now, how do we connect with the...
May I jump in there? Sorry. If you build a borehole, and I've seen this happen in some places I've worked in, they will wait for you to come back to maintain that borehole. If you involve the people in building this borehole, they will know how to stop the cows from breaking this borehole.
Absolutely.
How are you getting us? You're giving us all these good ideas, very rosy, and it's good. But I want to partner with you. Mildred and I want to step out and be able to hold Honorable Mwezo, why he's not apportioning money to you, why Engineer Justice is not giving us the right figures. How do we get that? We're interested in getting on board.
Thank you very much, Timothy. We have an opportunity right now in government. It's called the parish development model. In KCCA, we have 100 parishes, sometimes 99, sometimes 100. There's some political debate around that. But the parish is now our new unit for service delivery. We are focusing on it for financial inclusion, for infrastructure development, for education, for health, for all the various aspects that KCCA delivers services. We are using that opportunity. Why? Because at every parish, KCCA has a member of staff called the parish chief. And then there is a parish development committee, which combines both our technical team. Our technical person is the secretary, and the others are political leaders within the community. And so the under the parish development model we are having, the parish information management system. We know who is in the parish, we know where they live, we know what they do, and so our strategic plan of increasing productivity, of economic growth can be known within the parish, and the various parishes coming together and creating that division. We know how the division is developing. In Bugolobi right now, I was told by Captain Mukula, they have created what they're calling the Bugolobi Association. And it is various parishes, it is various villages coming together. They don't want to allow noise pollution in their community. They don't allow building in wetlands. They don't allow insecurity issues. That is the aware. So that's why I'm saying this parish development model, we should not just look at it around circles and financial inclusion, but they are rallying units, they are development units, they are socio-economic units for us to develop. So where do you look in as a Munakampala? Belong to a parish. Know what is going in your parish. Bring awareness about the good, both the good and the evil that's going on in your parish. We're going to unpack this a little bit more. In Kampala, for instance, we haven't received the money for our parish our circles, but we are so excited because that's given us opportunity to build this whole network of the parishes in a very concerted way by bringing on board our town clerks, our parish chiefs, our technical teams in the divisions so that it can unpack very well. Where is the entry from Nakampala into this development agenda? Let's use the parish development model. That's what I'm saying.
All right. Thank you very much. Let me come to Engineer Justice, and this loops into how much time we lose while in traffic jam and just how many health problems we get in there. You talked about the Greater Kampala Multimodal Transport Master Plan, and I'm asking myself, where are we right now? Because if we talk about motorcycles, they're in hundreds of thousands. If we talk about how many cars, they're in hundreds of thousands. That coupled with bicycles, I think it's no longer back in the day where you'd say while you're crossing, look left and right, because even when it's one lane, you could see a motorcycle coming from one end and hitting you up. Where are we currently? We've had a number of bus transit systems come and they seem to fail. Why are they failing? Don't we have a clear plan? And that is also coupled with street lights that are not smart at all. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Before I get into that, Timothy talked about connectivity.
Yes.
That people live in Wakiso and come to Kampala. Under the Greater Kampala project, we have focused on arterial roads, campus roads, where you are getting a project in Kampala linked with a project in Chila to form one exit. And of course that will help in evacuating traffic and increasing on travel time. So there is that aspect. The Greater Kampala, the multimodal transport master plan is a very well documented master plan. But as the executive director has indicated, it needs funding. What you saw, what you called bus systems.
Pioneer, we've had Okulenome, we are having Tondeka.
Right. There is need for, there is a progression in which you establish such kind of systems. And a feasibility study is one of them. And that's why we're encouraging others now who are coming in, who want to come in, first have a feasibility study.
Are you trying to say these others didn't have a feasibility study to look at how Kampala is and how they operate?
No, I don't think so. So we need that engagement so that the introduction of this VAT is informed by the demand, is informed by the network that we have. But we have these programs in our plan. We have routes designed for the bus rapid transport. We have routes designed for the light rail. All we need now is to develop these concepts and move it to a higher level through adequate funding. And then we move on.
Engineer Justice, that's a long-term plan. What's the short-term measure?
The short-term measure we've already started. In terms of traffic flow, under the JICA funding, which has started, we got a grant. We are going to transform 27 junctions into signalized junctions. One of the problems with the roundabout is that it creates a deadlock when there is jam. You find everyone tries to enter, and sometimes they lock themselves. So we are going to have 27 junctions signalized, and work has started, but we are also going to have a traffic control center. And the construction has already started at City Hall, where you will now manage traffic in a coordinated way all over Kampala. And we hope with this project completed and other project, traffic flow is going to improve.
Okay. Honorable Mademoiselle.
Can I chip in?
Yes. And as you chip in, I have a question for you, especially on the big elephant in the room, which is resources. What are the options that we can be able to deal with, given the fact that whereas we are talking about KCCA today, Ministry of Health the other day will come and say we don't have money. Another ministry will come and say we do not have money. Competing priorities, and we've had what you've had in the parliament, the aspect of unfunded priorities, which are literally twice the budget ceiling that we've always had. What are the options that we can be able to adopt to ensure that these resources are availed to deal with what we need as services?
Thank you so much. To start with, you've asked a very relevant question, very valid. How much time do we spend in jam? In Uganda, in Kampala alone, we spend 240,000 man-hours in jam. We lose over $3 billion US. That's about 10 trillion because of bad roads. As a result of jam, accidents. I'm an accident victim.
Sure.
I lost my limb because of a pothole. And you know how much I bought this limb? 75 million. Now, how many people have got an accident? How many lives have we lost? If you value all of that, there is no better thing than to work on our roads using any funds, because you'll basically save a lot. Mildred, you asked about what we can do. We have very good laws. We have this law. If only government would implement it like it is in Kenya. There is a lot of money. All monies from traffic fines is supposed to be used for road construction, road maintenance. Levies, fuel levies. We charged 200 shillings from every litre from Ugandans to go on roads. That money is nowhere to be seen. Parliament appropriates money. This should go into this fund. But we also have another fund, the property rates that are supposed to be used for in the community in which they are collected. But this business of collecting funds in one fund and ring-fenced funds, property rates, are funds that are supposed to be ring-fenced, to only work in the area from which they are collected. And they have specific roles. They are supposed to be used for maintenance of roads, construction of roads, drainage, security lighting, and so on and so forth, including garbage collection. So if we could implement the law as is, there is enough money to make our roads motorable and the city look neat. Then the other way is the PPP, through PPPs.
Okay.
Yes. You have seen the Entebbe Express, are you? There is no reason why one spends 3.5 hours in jam from Jinja to Kampala, and yet he can pay 5,000. You see? So we can work out PPPs so that we can allow people who want to traverse a little quickly to pay for themselves. That will be a very good idea. We have also flyovers in town that are supposed to be basically to help us reduce the traffic. But we should also help in knocking away the constriction and the bottlenecks. You cannot work on Kampala in isolation.
That's correct.
Because you create a bottleneck. You have good roads in Kampala, cars can move 4 cars at a go, but they find a bottleneck. And then they have a backflow, you see? So we need to, as well, work on Wakiso if we want to basically fight the issue of traffic in the city.
Okay. And I would like to come to the ED once again. You talked about the number of markets that we have in the city. And yes, back in the day, you would walk and you have to have some extra money just in case I stepped on someone's tomatoes and I have to pay back or pour at someone's ginnets. That seems to be going away, but with a sour taste, because there's been a lot of complaint with regard to designing of this market and location of these markets. For example, how do I move maybe to the second floor to be able to buy tomatoes when I have a lady in the jam who can be able to come with a bucket of tomatoes and I'll be able to buy those? And so many other. Usafi Market and its location has been an issue of discussion over and over again. And that loops into what Timothy said, the issue of bringing on board the city dwellers. Are we doing these projects right, in as much as they are beautiful projects that will turn around our city?
Very good question, Mildred. And one, somebody has said we've built our markets like supermarkets.
Exactly.
You know, buying tomatoes on the 3rd floor is a no-go. One thing in the city is that if you don't create favorable trading spaces, you always have congestion on the streets because people must look for a living. And so we must resolve the issue of trading spaces in the city. Government has come out very clearly and said in every division we must have 2 markets, at least. Makindye right now doesn't even have a single public market. We have 16 markets which are public, but Makindye doesn't have a public market. We have in total 84 markets in the city. But we want people to have access to where they can buy these goods easily. As we speak today, the news came out that the market law has come out. So we have an opportunity right there because the market law gives a lot of power and authority to the city administrators to do certain things, and we are going to use that. But yes, we have to create trading spaces. Yes, we have to build easily usable markets. And we have to collect revenue from markets. Somebody recently commented that with all the infrastructure development going on in Kampala, you wonder why there isn't more revenue being collected from Kampala.
Sure.
Because the buildings are coming up every day. The good news, well, at KCCA in the last 1.5 years, we've increased our revenue collection by 16%, which has been a very tough season. Now, with the opening up of the markets where we can collect some little revenue, not too much, from the public transport area, outdoor advertising, all these opportunities for collecting revenue will enable us to have money to invest in the city. Now, the question, and you, Mildred, raised it, why don't we spend at source? Which goes back to our friends at Parliament to say, can the city for a season be able to do this so that we can get value out of the properties? Because imagine, somebody builds their high-rise building and the road leading to it is so difficult that they cannot get the right tenants and therefore they cannot draw the right rent, and therefore you as an administrator cannot collect the proper property rate. So with the markets, it's an issue of trading spaces for the city. They must be created, they must be accessible, they must be smart.
Interesting.
Just
Yes.
to add something on that.
Yes.
Under the ADB project, with that what you observed in mind, we are going to put what we call roadside markets. So
There's a
certain
provision.
portion, there's a provision. So certain places will be designed in such a way that we put a roadside market, we put in enough space for cars to get off the road, shop and go, together with also public toilets in this project.
Thank you very much. Dr. Okello, let me come to you. For me, the environment and the climate are one of those things that are very big concern going forward. Climate change is one of those things they talk about. But the heat today, in the last few days, when it rains, it really pours. And you get to know what's happening. The green that is being killed in this country, the wetlands that are not there, like Mildred mentioned, but also, what are you doing about climate change and sensitizing the people in Kampala about this climate change?
Yeah, and if I may pick it this way, and again I'll pick it for Mildred, the environment can live without us. The fact that we are there is what is bringing climate change, and there's no doubt about it, and it's coming from our activities. So one of the things that we have actually been telling people, and it was a beauty when you put up the air quality monitors, and I could show you that at about 10:30 p.m., between 10:30 and 1 a.m., the air quality was shooting up. So we asked what was happening. This happens to be the time you leave office, you get back home, you have the discussions with the maid, and you'll have a few disagreements about the rubbish, and realize that's when people were burning. And if you look back, that's the time you actually come and inspect the house, and you say, what is this? Take this out. You haven't taken out the garbage. Let's burn it. And everybody seemed to be doing it about that time. Now, people are not realizing that actually the fact that you're burning, and the other thing we showed them, the number one cause of making people sick in Kampala is you having a flu, having a cough, but you don't have pneumonia. Now, pneumonia usually means that there is something infectious in nature. But if a doctor checks on you and there is no pneumonia, what is that telling you? That the air you're taking in is irritating your lungs, and you're getting those signs and symptoms of that are relating to cough and flu, but there is no infection. So the power of data and showing people this, just like I'm saying this, was that you see what is happening to my actions. That is a challenge of climate change. Last year, the water level of Lake Victoria did rise.
Sorry, Doctor. Let me stay on the rubbish. You talked about burning, and you talked about 10 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Yeah.
You're talking about Munakampala, Muntu wa wansi, Muntu wa wano. What options are you giving us?
Actually, surprisingly, you may think it is Muntu wa Kampala. I always tell people, Mwavuta ina kasasiro. Omugaga ina kasasiro. You know why? Because that Muntu wa wansi, if he had to go down, what is he having for supper? He's probably having chikomando and a chapati. Where is the kasasiro? Omugaga is going home. He's going to have matoke. You're going to peel the matoke. Probably have Irish on the side. You're going to peel the Irish. And you'll have his meat and top it off with the pineapple that you're going to peel. And he's going to have passion fruit or juice. All that you're going to peel and put where? In your cavera behind there. And in the morning, he'll get up in his car and go and put it by the side of the road. This guy should be able to afford 5 or 10,000 shillings for the garbage to be picked once a week by a private person. Or if not, put it in your kadeya. Okay, let me now speak the language. Put in your kadeya. Then wait for the truck to come. If you're a bachelor, are you going to empty every day? You empty once a week. If you have a family, as you say, you probably empty twice a week. Now the alternatives, we have the trucks that are servicing the areas that we know people cannot afford to pay. And that is the equity concept. Those that cannot, how is the city facilitating you to come up? Don't spend the little money you have on activities where the city can support. Those who have, be able to spend, as you say, polluter pays. Pay for your expenditures, I've actually said. So those are the options and the principles we use in terms of being able to close, as we say, that equity gap.
We've seen an issue of solid waste management, especially in markets, whereby severally the markets will complain you're seeing heaps of garbage right there and it can't be collected. Speaking in numbers, how much garbage does Kampala collect and what is your capacity as KCCA to be able to manage that garbage? That is number one. But also secondly, what mechanisms are we putting in place to segregate rubbish? Like, I mean garbage, well, we normally call it rubbish. Like Honorable Balimwezo did say, waste is waste only when it is wasted, when you've not gotten an alternative. But I am seeing one truck, one heap of place where I can put my garbage, whether I have polythene, whether I have biodegradable solid waste, I all put it there. What is KCCA putting in place to encourage that segregation?
Now, one of the things, as you said, the laws are there. There's a law that was done in 2001, the Solid Waste Ordinance, which actually talks about sorting and making sure that you should be able to sort the garbage before it actually comes in. Now, how much garbage is generated by us? Now, when you're looking about a mugaga, you actually generate between anywhere of half a kilo to probably 0.8 of a kilo. Now the Mwavu is generating, as you're saying, Omuntu wa wansi, is doing about 100 grams to 200 grams in a day. But 85% of our garbage is organic.
Yes.
Now in areas where you find there's a lot of segregation, it is the other way. Most of their garbage is inorganic. So our garbage is either the peels of matoke that we have and those things that are there. Now the challenge you have with the city is that because it's organic, even if you're to segregate it, it's going to compost and it's actually going to smell. What are the things we are doing? One of the things we have done is to say, you know, there's what we call the black soldier fly.
Yes.
And we are doing this in Wankoko. And we are piloting a few, whereby you can be able to grow this fly. Then the maggots break it down, because the fly will lay the maggots, then it will eat up that organic waste and be able to form more maggots. Now those maggots, when they are dried, they form very good food for poultry. And we think it's, and because they're very high in protein,
yes,
you can use them in other feeds. And we are bringing people to see that this can actually be done. For those, that I'm saying, those that can have space, because organic waste, as I said, garbage comes from expenditure. Those who eat pineapples and have oranges and have passion fruits usually love having gardens. You can be able to have small composting and have it in your garden. We used to do it in the villages, whereby you'd find that those organic waste used to be put somewhere to help some of the crops to grow. So that is something we can be able to do. Now, for the inorganics, this is not a policy. NBS. You see, you gave me a bottle of water with plastic. I've deliberately decided not to take it. And we can decide to say, as NBS, we are only going to have glass. We are not going to have plastics. Now you're reducing on the generation. Now for the recycling and for the bins to start, we'll have our paper, and for us no plastic. So you can even have by elimination. But it's progressive, and as you'll say, what's the language? You'll have kasavu kanyama. You'll have that stick and the carrot. Let's do something, but we'll also have the carrot. So we are educating.
How much do we collect every day?
So what we collect is about 1,600 tons, and we generate about 2,200 tons. So we are about 60% efficiency. Now the 60% is with the 22 trucks that we have, and that is what we are doing. And
so what happens to the other solid waste? I'm trying to think out loud, that you're generating over 2,000 and you're only collecting 1,600. Does the other end in our drainage channels?
It's ending in our drainage. It is ending being burnt, and it is also, as you're saying, ending in our pit latrines, and it is also ending in Lake Victoria.
Drainages.
Yeah, and also the drainages.
Madam Tsaka, let me come to you. One of the things that I picked from Honorable Balimwezo is that bottleneck. You have a good idea of a smart city agenda. We have 149 cities across this country. Because if I move out of here, and I've seen it once you're going to the Ginger Highway, once you get to a certain point, the traffic jam to Ginger is just a mess. How are you helping replicate this across the country? But also my second question to you, how are you leveraging technology to make this smart city agenda a reality?
Thank you, Timothy, for enabling me to talk about the 3 pillars of our smart city agenda. The first one is the T, which is talks about technology. We want to leverage the use of technology in service delivery. What do we mean by that? Revenue collection. We want to be smart in the way we collect it, not just going to people's houses and knocking, but having a system that enables us collect without going to their houses. The numbering of the residences, public transport, health services, education services, generally rolling out technology wherever it can be used. Even the taxis, public transport. I know that there are cities right now, you drive through a certain place and you're automatically charged without even stopping. So we want to leverage technology in the various service centers that we do in delivering quality services to the people. The second pillar in our smart city agenda is the infrastructure development. We've definitely talked a lot about roads, drainages, lights, but in infrastructure, we're also talking about our health centers, our markets, our schools. Most of you know that our schools like Chitante, like Nakasero, like Nachivubo, very beautiful prime land, but they are old. They need to be refurbished. They need to be revived. Chitante, like I told you, has 3,800 children in the same premises that used to hold 280 children. So we need to do infrastructure development, not just the roads, but also the infrastructure of the city. And the third pillar in our smart city agenda is people well-being. And we've talked about this a lot. I like to use the phrase, a healthy city. Climate, caring about the environment, what we breathe, but also what we hear. Many of our Muna Kampala people are complaining about noise from bars, noise from churches, noise at ungodly hours when we should be sleeping. Those things need to be taken care of. It is good for us to pray, but are we considering others who are sleeping at that time? So it is technology, infrastructure, and people well-being. Now, how do we roll out this to other cities? We have mooted an idea of having a cities forum in Uganda. When we visited Jinja, together with the political side, the Lord Mayor led a team of leaders from City Hall, and we met with the leaders from Jinja, and one of our ideas is that we need a cities forum, the Uganda Cities Forum, so that we can grow together. For instance, now the GKMA funding that we are receiving is not considering KCCA alone. It is saying you are affected by what happens in Wakiso, in Kira, in Mokono, in Entebbe. We need to develop the whole area together. So that awareness of ourselves, not as a secluded, and Honorable Mwaza spoke about it very well. We can't just think of Kampala City as a center, but it needs to breathe. Recently, when we were discussing again the GKMA loan, the president emphasized, let's look at the entrances to the city, the 8 entrances to the city, make them accessible. It is no point for somebody to come from Mbale, drive for 3 hours and get to Mukono, and between Mukono and Kampala spend another 3 hours. So we need to intentionally, and that's what we are doing, to intentionally open up these entrances so that the people from up country can enjoy the city and not feel like it's a burden to come into the city. Okay.
Thank you very much, Madam Chisaka. Honorable Balimwezo, we have 10 minutes, so we'll pass the parting shot, starting with you, then Engineer Justice, then Dr. Okello, finally, Madam Chisaka.
The ED talked about markets. It's unfortunate that the designs of our markets is still wanting. You know, here in Uganda, amasogo muganda gali muchi ngalo. So our people still want the traditional designs, where someone goes into something and sees whatever he's going to procure. So the designs are still wanting. The supermarket kind of designs is regrettable. But also, we should know that our communities are highly populated. For example, Mutungo Parish has no single market. We are just constructing a market. It has 120,000 people with only one single market. It's bigger than some of the districts. When you talk about schools, you know, there is a policy that each sub-county should have at least a secondary school. In Kampala alone, you know the number of people that are in Nakawa, for example. Over 600,000 people. And you have one single government school? That's regrettable. So we have to rethink about, about appropriation, particularly in the city. Recently, I made a head count of the people that are walking along streets in Kampala, in my constituency, Nakawa East alone. And I found out that there were 80,500. 80,500. And we have a market that we are constructing going to take 1,200 people. Now, we need to appropriate more funds as we go into the parish model. Because tomorrow, Mama here will go and arrest these Juakaris that have been given money in the parish model, and eventually the entire program will collapse. So we must rethink about the parish model. Before we give out money, why don't we work on decent workspaces for our people?
Okay.
You know, before we give out money. Because the people that we are giving money are these people working on the streets. But they have no decent workspaces anywhere. Therefore, let us invest. And I call upon members of parliament that Kampala is our city. We should make it, you know, beautiful, remove the people from the streets, but create spaces, decent workspaces for them so that they can earn a living.
All right,
thank you very much. Thank you.
And Timothy, as Dr. Okello speaks to us, and also let me, Engineer Justus, first of all, engage Dr. Okello. As you give us your parting shots, spare time to speak about our ambulance system, because I know just how much the city struggled during Ebola outbreak, during COVID-19, but we've also seen a number of outbreaks in other cities, and Kampala seems to be scared. I'm wondering what magic wand we're trying to use, but do we have an actual ambulance system that is intentional to meet the needs of the dwellers?
Yes, we have an ambulance system, and as you said, it is during COVID was when we started small, but now the fleet is growing, and we have a toll-free line, 0800 299 then 000. So if you called it, you'd actually have people work there 24 hours a day, and we are trying as much as possible to cover the whole city. So that one it's growing, and as you say, it started from the COVID time. We just bought 7 ambulances a few months ago, and we are hoping when funds do allow, we'll also be able to improve on the fleet. The other about the outbreaks, if you'd remember, we had an Ebola outbreak in Kampala. That was the second outbreak in the city ever since we had the one in West Africa. And we managed this in less than 70 days. No city.
65 to be exact.
Yes.
You can boast about that.
Yes.
It's okay to rise the bar.
And yes, and you can, because no city in this world has done that. In West Africa, it was 2 years. And if you subtracted the 42 days, at which point we said we are free, that is something where I would say the team that was here, for no other word, as they say, we did something magical. Now, the other is, as you say, the medical services. When you look at the 8 facilities that we actually do own, 27% of the deliveries in this city happen in those 8 facilities. And remember, we have 1,908 facilities. Now, unless I'm tempted to believe that something good is happening there, and that's why 27% of the mothers are going there. So really, we are doing some good things there, and I would thank the team for what we are doing in these facilities, in the health centers that we actually do manage. So you've told me my parting shots. As we said again about solid waste management, we are building the capacity, and with time we'll be able, we believe, to reach the capacity to be able to hit the 80% or 90% collection efficiency. But this will take time. As you see, we're on the right path, We are buying new trucks every year. We are also trying to make sure that we can improve on the treatment side. So now, from where we have to meet midway, let us also, as you, be able to reduce. But we have a rallying point. An executive order was issued by the president, and in one word, he actually does not want dumping by the roadside. So I'm saying to people in Kampala there, let's not dump by the roadside, let's work together, we can be able to clear that. The last one is about the issue of sanitation, and you asked at the outbreaks. You know, we used to have cyclic outbreaks of cholera in this city.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's again something good that is happening. We have not had, not saying that should come, but we have not had. We are building up to 100 toilets in the community. And you're going to see these changes coming. We are changing the way toilets are going to be. And you're going to see there have been some toilets we are building that are going to be much better. They won't only be toilets, but they'll also be points of also other economic activity. So you have a toilet, a rooftop, you can be able to have a small restaurant there. So we are changing the way toilets have the public toilets need to look. So these are the things we are doing in the schools. We had the people stance ratio of 108 to 1. We are now at 48 in the 79 schools. So there are things we are doing, and with the support we'll get, we can actually be able to get better.
Kudos, and thank you very much, Dr. Okello. Let me come to you, Engineer Justice, and I hope you can have a local context on how we can bring down the 4.56 billion of contextualizing of how a road is made with local content or innovations that are out there.
Thank you very much. Local content, definitely. We are utilizing the local contractors on all our government-funded projects. And we are also moving towards collecting enough data to see whether we can identify networks that can, where we can utilize low-cost seeding, and that will give us good mileage. Another parting shot, I want to, first of all, thank the people of Kampala, including Honorable Balimwezo. Honorable Balimwezo helped us a lot on Kurambiro Road, mobilizing people to contribute small pieces of their land for us to have that road fixed. We need community, the community to participate in the development of the infrastructure. We need the right of way. So I appeal to the people of Kampala, as we develop these programs that are coming, small pieces of land that we require to have these roads, we request that you continue to cooperate, because when we fix these roads, the properties shoot up, the value of land in those areas shoot up, businesses start springing up, those rental which were very hard to rent, you get tenants. So we need the community to also help us secure the right of way so that we can implement these programs successfully.
Thank you very much, Engineer. Lastly, finally, but not least, Madam Saka.
And as you do come in, a particular, one question that came through, which is interesting because many of the others were answered. Saturday Amza is asking, when will the habit of having buildings that have no parking provision end in Kampala? And toilets that are being paid for even by the tenants?
Oh my God. I think Justice would have helped me with that. But first of all, let me say thank you. I want to say thank you to, of course, Mildred and Timothy, and the wider community representative of UBC and NBS for hosting us tonight. We have so much to say, but you've given us some time to say what we've been able to say. Thank you very much. I want to just alert everyone that tomorrow we have our State of the City address. We do it once a year, and you're going to hear about all our service areas, all our resources, all of our manpower, all the projects that we are thinking of. That will happen at City Hall tomorrow. And just tune in so that you get a larger picture of what's happening. This is the second year running that we are doing, the Lord Mayor is doing a State of the City address, which combines both what we do as the technical side and the political side. But thirdly, I want to thank our various stakeholders. We have key stakeholder communities in Kampala, Muna Kampala, aba boda, aba taxi, aba butali, aba business, the business community.
Yogera kona abo mu Luganda ne wezibere dakika 2 to 5.
Mutukola bulungi nnyo bye mukola aba katale. Mulina engeri gye mwekolamu omulimu, muli ne mukola emirimu gyammwe ne ginyirira. Weewaawo wabeerawo okukaayana ngera katale bwe kabeera, naye tubeeyanziza nnyo olw'okola omulimu omulungi. Aba taxi Mwami Sekindi aba yutofu mwenna tubeebaza olw'omulimu omulungi gwe mukola ne mulaba nti essente ezisolozebwa KCCA zijja bulungi ate n'entalo ne zitabeerayo. Aba boda tiimu eyo yonna, we are very, very grateful to our different. But there is also another group. These are our partners. We have partners like banks, we have development partners, we have people who have come and held our hands. Recently, ABSA came in and said, we are going to help you to green the city. We are seeing a lot of stakeholders coming and saying, let's help you do something. People like UNDP came and helped us to clean the whole of Owino Market, well, not all of it, but some of it, and pave it. So we won't wait only for GOU money, but these stakeholders are also coming on board. And the last group I want to thank is my fellow leaders, the mayors, the town clerks. Those are the people who hold those divisions together. And of course, there's the huge number of KCCA staff. I salute you all for the good work that you do for the city. I want to salute the cleaners. Mwebale omulimo ogw'ekitalo gwe mukola. Ffe tugulaba gunyirira era mutukola bulungi nnyo. Mwebale kulaba nti kasasiro tasigala ku makubo era tubasiimira ddala. As we leave, we as a leadership team at KCCA, we've said 3 things. We've said we are going to have zero tolerance to potholes. Every single shilling that comes in for doing potholes, maintenance work, our division engineers are going to do it. And now that Honorable Bamwezo is leading the roads committee, he's going to drive that. Secondly, we have zero tolerance for littering. We are creating, in this coming 3 months, we are going to be distributing a lot of dustbins around the city so that people have a place where they place the rubbish. And finally, we must have law and order in the city. We can't just do anything anyhow. A city is a family. We work together. Everybody plays their little part to create the smart city that we are aspiring for. So muna Kampala, vaayo wegatte naffe, wegatte ku buli omu, tulabe nti ekibuga kyaffe kifuukira ddala ki smart city gye tuluubirira. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We want to thank all of you for coming through to be able to be part of Spotlight. But the biggest thing, Mildred, is you don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask yourself what you can do for your country. So from us and the team here, thank you very much. God bless you and have a fabulous night.
Exactly. It's not actually a night. It's good morning. Thank you so much to the ED, Dr. Okello, Engineer, Justus, and Honorable Balimwezo. We can't wait for you to keep pushing for those budgets. And for the person who lives in Kampala, do your part as the leaders also do their part. Thank you so much for joining us on UBC TV, Inspiring Uganda, and NBS Television. We say have a good morning.
Thank you very much.
Jerrycan! Hey, Master Blaster! Touch him, man! Buy Jerrycan with muscle! Those ones who say go for you only.